Let's flip sides to the other side of the ball, the Baltimore Ravens, where I don't know if I want to say they were exposed, but it was messy. And the Ravens have played a few messy games this year. And it doesn't seem like this is a game they should have lost, especially being at home and an NFC team at that. This is one of those games where you really needed to win if you're Baltimore. We just did a show last week where we ranked the Super Bowl level teams and we put Baltimore in that top category. After watching them today, I could bounce them down out of that Super Bowl level category.
When we did the tier list ranking, I wanted to put them conference championship, but I was like, man, after the performances they've had, you've got to give them Super Bowl ceiling, which you probably still do. But yeah. I think we have to just be honest about who Baltimore is. And me and you have said this, we haven't been hiding from it. It's just a fact that Lamar Jackson tends to play his worst in big games. Whether you want to call him a choke artist or whatever, I mean, he's, I think, 1-4 in the playoffs in his career, something like that. He's not been good in playoff games. We saw it last year against the Chiefs, and we're seeing it again this year in the biggest games. Like the big games, they got to have it. It feels like they really lose against marquee matchups. I mean, they lost to the Browns. Oh, you shouldn't have lost that divisional opponent. They lost to the Steelers. Divisional opponent, okay, but like you're a better football team. You should beat them. And then this game, a big, possible Super Bowl preview. And let's just call it like it is. Yeah, it was close in the first half. In the second half, the Ravens got pushed around, Ryan.
What's so confusing is they go and they wipe the floor with one of the best teams in the AFC, the Buffalo Bills, back in like week 4, wasn't it? Yeah, week 4. How do you make sense of that, Tristan? Like, how do you actually compute that? How do you play so well against what we know now as, and they were even then too, I think. The Bills were one of the best teams in the AFC. They still are. They may be the best team in the AFC now. But how do you put on that performance and then you play other teams where, like the Browns, and you just look like you don't know what you're doing?
You're asking, what's the issue with the inconsistency? I say the inconsistency is the issue. I don't know if there's something you could point to that says this is why we're inconsistent. Because a lot of times it is them getting away from the run, or it is Lamar Jackson not living up to it. Tonight, I thought Lamar played good. Even looking at the box score, 23 for 36, 237, 2 touchdowns. He did miss a couple throws. He had 79 yards rushing. So, I mean, the guy had 300 all-purpose yards. Like, he played well. He did miss a couple throws, but this isn't one of those losses you would put on him. Some of them are. Today, Derrick Henry, 19 carries for 82 yards. I know Derrick Henry had 82 yards, but it never felt like he took the game over. It never felt like he really got rolling like they wanted him to, like Barkley did. This team is kind of dependent on Derrick Henry going off to allow Lamar Jackson to go off. I'm not trying to negate them. I'm not trying to put them down. They're still a really good football team. But the bottom line to me is, if I'm going into a game, the Ravens, going into a big playoff game, do you trust them to go execute? I don't. That doesn't mean they can't. Like, yeah, they could easily go in and execute, but you just don't know which Ravens team you're going to get. Even the Ravens team today against the Eagles, they weren't bad. They just didn't execute. They didn't do enough. 19 points. Their defense did good. You held the Eagles to 24. And with Lamar Jackson, you only put up 19. People get all over the Chiefs. They've only lost one game. Oh, they only put up 19, 20 points. Okay, well, where was Lamar, the guy that we were saying was the MVP? You can say the stats are good, but when you had to have it in the big moments, that to me is what really separates Lamar from that next level of Mahomes and Allen and even Burrow. Whereas a big drive late in the game, you got to have it. I don't care what your stats say the rest of the game. Make a play right here on 3rd and 8, 3rd and 11. And he kind of struggles to do that, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, this has been the story of Lamar ever since we've started watching him, right? And I think a lot of people this year were like, okay, well, they got Derrick Henry now. Now we have a break. We could kind of give Lamar a little bit of a break, open up that run game a little more, because that's been their struggle point since Lamar's been there, has been the rushing, because Lamar was the running back and quarterback all at the same time. But I was just going back through, and this is, you had mentioned what's the issue, right? And I was just thinking to myself, like, how many yards has Derrick Henry had in the losses, right? Versus the wins. And I'm just looking, and I've already looked through all the losses. He's had less than 100 yards against every team they have lost to. And for the most part, he's had over 100 yards or more in every team he's won against, except Cincinnati back in week 10. So there may be a trend there. If he doesn't eclipse 100 yards, you can almost chalk it up as a loss. This is just a guy from Alabama, okay?
Right.
This is just me looking at numbers and saying, I wonder if there's something going on. And I feel like, Tristan, and tell me if I'm wrong, because I noticed it tonight too. There were several drives where it was 3 and outs from Lamar. It may not have been 3 and outs. I may be remembering it a little bit different, but it felt like to me it was pass. It's like they went away from the run so early where I think if they would have got that going, just even one drive, it could have changed the outcome of the game completely.
Really? This brings up another point. If you look at the drive chart, first drive after halftime, the Ravens go 10 plays, 41 yards, miss a field goal. Then the Eagles go 3 and out. Ravens, 14 plays, 47 yards, miss a field goal. 3 and out again for the Eagles. Ravens go 7 plays, 34 yards and punt. Then 5 plays, 12 yards turnover. And then that last drive, 7 yards for a touchdown. The drives they had, they got into field goal range. They just couldn't punch it in. But again, we go back to those 2 missed field goals. Those were huge, could have been the difference in the game. And that just slowly transitions into the last topic about the Ravens. Time to bench Justin Tucker, maybe? I mean, he's like 50% on field goals over 40 or 50 yards. He's missing almost every single field goal. I'm not saying anything. He hasn't been the same since he taunted Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce through his teeth.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
That is a fork in the road for Justin Tucker's career.
I was going to text you this today, but I want to say for the show, you know how fighters in the UFC, they lose their chin?
Uh-huh.
You know, Chuck Liddell did it.
Yeah.
The Iceman did it.
Yes.
And we've seen several others. I think Forrest Griffin, to some degree, lost his.
Yeah, sure.
It happens took out by a jab. But anyway, can you lose your leg? Like, I know he can still kick far, but like, can you lose the accuracy of your leg? Is that a thing?
Well, he certainly has.
I think he's proving that you can, but I don't think most people last as long as he does anyway. So
that's true. His first year starting was 2012. So he's been in the league. You know, this is his 12th year in the league, but he's 70% on his completion, on his field goal make. That's not good enough. And when you want to be a playoff team and win the Super Bowl, I know maybe they don't have a viable option. I know he's built up goodwill, but it's at the point now where when Justin Tucker lines up, it used to just be, oh, you know, he's going to make it from wherever. Now when he lines up, you're like, he's probably going to miss it. He missed PATs, Ryan. It's not just field goals. He's missing extra points.
So yeah, it seems like you can lose your leg. It seems like that's what happened. Or you have the curse of Kansas City on you. One of the two is true. Don't know what it is. Let's not take away. Justin Tucker is a legendary kicker. He will always be.
Sure.
He's made his mark in the history books.
Yes.
But it may be time to move on and get somebody in there that can probably secure you some of these kicks that you really need, because it's getting really close to playoff time and you need the points. I don't care how they go. I don't care if you got to go hire a kicker that, you know, kicks cans down the road for a living. If he can kick better than Justin Tucker, then let's get him in there.
You can't feel very confident going into the playoffs with Tucker as the kicker the way things have been going this season. I know it's crazy to say that, but it's just the way it is.
Go find another concrete salesman and get him out there, because it worked for Detroit. Isn't that where that guy is? He used to sell concrete or something like that. Now he's kicking footballs for teams probably make it to the Super Bowl. Crazy.
Even if it's a lie, we'll pretend it's true.